The superspeeding problem has gotten so bad in Florida, police are cracking down. Under a new law, instead of giving you just a ticket, cops can now arrest you if you're caught going over 100 miles an hour.
What's up, everybody? Rob Ferretti here, and I'm going to give you a little history on the phrase super speeders. Now, I did not coin the phrase. I go by superspeedersRob, but it was back in 2003 or something like that. I was on Inside Edition, which is still probably a television show, or the New York Post. Somebody coined me super speeders. And my DVD series at the time was called Life After the Quarter Mile. It was about going fast and street racing and everything like that. The phrase super speeders was coined, and I was like, okay, I like this. And I rolled with it, and I turned the series then into super speeders. So my first DVD ever was Life After the Quarter Mile. It became the Super Speeders DVD series. And from there, it became superspeedersRob on YouTube, and the rest is history. Now, the phrase super speeders, although it's not named after me, it is named after a specific behavior. And that behavior is now losing its meaning, because a lot of states are now doing super speeders laws. And you know, Georgia, I just got a ticket for being a super speeder in Georgia. Florida has the laws down there for the super speeders law in Florida, going over 100 miles an hour. And it's really being taken out of context. There was just a story in New York about the super speeders that are responsible for over $10 million in fines in New York. And they drew a correlation to the fancier car, the more the super speeders. And there's one guy out there that's got a late model car, and it's a luxury car, either a BMW or an Audi or something like that. And he's got over $93,000 in violations. How is that guy still on the road? Well, they're misusing the moniker, because if somebody's a repeat offender, super speeders, to me, is somebody who is going significantly above. If you're doing super anything, if you're super good at the sport, you excel beyond everybody. If you're super successful, you're much more wealthy than the next guy. You just don't have a leased Jaguar, and now all of a sudden you're super successful. You employ people, you got a lot of money. You know where I'm going with this. In New York, they consider a super speeder anyone that's gotten more than 16 camera violations inside a 12-month period or 24-month period. That's not a super speeder. That means if you're driving down the highway and the cameras are triggering you, and there's no like big warning signs like there are in Europe, that the cameras are triggering and you just happen to be going 10 miles over the speed limit, and just say you live in New York all the time and you're driving in New York all the time, which you'll need to have a little bit more money to drive in New York all the time instead of taking the cabs or public transport, so you probably have a nicer car. Those people are getting lots of tickets. And why are they getting tickets? Not because they're really doing anything wrong, but because now doing 10 miles an hour over the limit is a problem. And everyone's like, well, A, eat the rich, nobody cares. You got a lot of money, who cares? Go get your tickets, pay your fines, don't be a scumbag, right? B, doing 10 miles an hour over the limit is not a big deal. And why should this concern you, right? Who cares? Guy wants to drive his car, pay his tickets, do his thing. Why this should concern you is because right now, everyone is becoming accustomed to these automated noise cameras, speed cameras, everything like that. Right now, it's all good, right? Doesn't really bother you. Maybe get one ticket a year or something like that. Once it impacts you, once they say, you know what? Yeah, it's 10 miles an hour is not making enough money. Make it 5. Now, anyone going 5 miles an hour over the limit is going to get tickets. And then you become a super speeder because you got more than 5 tickets or 10 tickets or 12 tickets, whatever it is, inside this certain time period. And they're just going to keep drilling everybody down. So they're going to add more cameras, more enforcement, and they're just going to keep lowering the threshold. And now, instead of saying, well, I think that's appropriate. The problem we've always had in this country is that the speed limit isn't really the speed that everyone travels, right? Anyone, if you ever try to drive the speed limit anywhere in this country, you're an impediment. You're in the way, right? And everyone sets their own speed as to what they feel is appropriate. But that's not how laws and everything's supposed to be enforced or governed. Like, we shouldn't just be like, this is the limit, but like, there's a little bit of leeway there. Why don't you just set a hard limit, like in Switzerland? It's a hard limit, right? If it's 130 kilometers an hour and you're going 132, you get a ticket. That's less than 1 mile an hour over the limit because it's a hard limit. Do I like that enforcement? No, I don't. But that's all cameras as well. At the end of the day, everybody's like, once you start getting used to the photo enforcement, video enforcement, this automated enforcement, what's going to stop your car from self-reporting? If all these cars are going electric and everything and all these bells and whistles, what's going to stop the car from reporting when you're going over the limit somewhere? Whether it's in a parking lot, whether it's anywhere, at a certain point in time, there's got to be some moderation. I'm all for, like, look, if I'm driving and a cop catches me doing something, part of life. But the more photo enforcement, the more video enforcement, and the more people welcome it and say, like, well, it's just the rich people, so eat the rich. Like, that's what you're really getting at. That's how the news is framing it. It's like, these guys are so bad. It's just a guy that just happens to drive through the city a lot. He's not doing 10 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour over the limit. You're getting 1 ticket a month for going 12 miles an hour over the limit. That's not a super speeder. Don't disrespect me like that. Because if you're super speeding, you're doing triple the speed of traffic. That's a super speeder. That's somebody like, which would arguably in any other circumstance belong on a track, you could say is a super speeder. But somebody doing 10 miles an hour over the limit, which you wouldn't even notice, the way our traffic works in the United States is that people speed, they see a cop, they slow down. They see a speed camera, they slow down. They do the same thing in Europe. Speed camera, there's signs, people slow down, go through the speed camera, get right back up to speed. It's a very silly thing. It's not really doing anything to protect anyone or keep anything safe, which is the reason laws should exist, is to keep people safe, not to generate revenue. That's what it does. It generates revenue. And to call everybody super speeders now, Idaho, all these different states are now putting in super speeders laws, but they're not really addressing what a super speeder is. I'm all for a super speeders law. If somebody's doing triple the speed limit and you catch them, give them their day in court, and give them a super fine or whatever you want to do. But in Georgia, it's 85 miles an hour. I did a video. I got pulled over. 85 miles an hour in a 70 zone is not super speeding. I'm sorry. That's driving down the highway. If a 18-wheeler can do it, it's nothing super as far as speed goes. So I think we got to reevaluate this. I think we got to hit the brakes. I think there's got to be a lot more people voicing their concerns as to the enforcement of speeding in the United States and as to what they're classifying as egregious, because nobody feels bad. Oh, you got to take it, well, you deserved it. Until it hits them, until they drop the threshold a little bit and it affects more people. And that's what you're going to start seeing. So raise your voice a little bit. I saw this and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I should probably bring it up to people. Something to be aware of. You're going to see it happening more places across the country, not just New York, not just big California, whatever you want to say. It's happening in Florida. Florida is one of the most amazing states as far as like American rights. And Texas, you're going to start seeing it a lot. So be careful. Rob Ferretti, there's your warning. See you tomorrow.